we're live. So welcome to the second Advocacy and Outreach Special Interest Group meeting. Today we will talk about several topics, including CDF planning and local language communities. We have Rick and Tracy on the call. Last meeting we had a discussion how we organize SIG meetings, and we agreed to have meetings in 2 time zones. One is APAC and EMEA, and another one would be
But we will share your screen?
Not yet, but yeah, okay. I will do that. So okay, I should probably just share right now. Yeah, so do you see my screen? Okay, yeah. So we had a meeting on January 31, and we agreed that we have 2 meetings. So this is what we have today, and I think we will have US-Europe meeting for the next week. Mark was interested, so we should have that. And still it makes sense to have a local meeting, especially if we have more participants later, because there is a lot of activities in China and in other countries. So by having a meeting in this time zone, we can facilitate these activities. Today we have a few topics proposed to the agenda, so maybe just quick updates about GSOC and particularly about outreach, because the application is ongoing. And then CDF, CONE, and 2 topics about language-based and user-focused groups. So this is what I put to the agenda. Should we add anything else?
It's all for me.
Okay. So GSOC update in 1 minute. We have applied to GSOC on February, and we are waiting for final confirmation. It should arrive on February 26th. So for now, we are not sure whether we are accepted or not, but hopefully everything is fine. We've got a number of project ideas. For example, they're listed here, and last meeting we had some discussions about SIG-focused project ideas. For example, having an online hackathon site, and I will post this project idea this week. So we just wait, but everything is ready on our side. All documentation is updated. We have enough projects. So once there is an announcement, we are ready to iterate with students.
When is the announcement expected?
February 26th.
Okay, so
GSOC timeline. So non-UTC, there will be list of organizations published, and on the evening we will have Cloud Native SIG meeting. Then on 27th we will have GSOC SIG meeting. So we will be able to start iterating on the results as soon as possible, because many special interest groups are involved. So we will use meetings in order to communicate the results and to facilitate applications even more if it's possible. Okay, so that's the plan, and I hope everything goes well. Any other questions?
It's okay for me.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Probably we should talk about outreach then.
Go ahead.
Probably it's better for you to just summarize the current status, because you're driving outreach.
The next round of outreach, so basically the summer round, is opened in terms of applicants can start making contributions to projects. There's some interest from Jenkins community to participate. So in particular, Matt Zicker, who was the mentor for the last round, would like to continue. And one thing I had to do was to find out if we did start this round of outreachy, whether we'd have any problems with the move to CDF and kind of managing the payments. So I contacted the outreachy organizers, and they said it shouldn't be a problem. They can always change who the invoice would go to. So so that should be no problem from their side. And then they gave me an idea of the window of when they can send the invoice. So if there's any preference from our side to either do it earlier or later, then we can do it to suit kind of our transition. So from their point of view, it should be fine. They're flexible. So the next step is to, I guess, get Jenkins, governors, and community to approve the stipend amount, because this will get funded from Jenkins. So so at the next governance meeting, which is next Wednesday,
Feb 27th.
yeah, I need to get that on the agenda, and I guess maybe put it onto the dev list beforehand.
Yeah, it would be nice.
And then yeah, I'd like to invite, if we have at least one project with the audit logs, then open it up for potential other projects, including ones that wouldn't necessarily apply to GSOC, perhaps, or even ones that are in GSOC, but we can think about how to manage that.
Yeah. So we had several project ideas last year, for example, colorblind mode for Jenkins and such things could be probably more applicable for outreach. Well, they're totally fine for GSOC as well, but yeah, we can create project ideas for that if needed. But yeah, what we really need is to find mentors. Yeah, it's not a problem if mentors list themselves as potential mentors in both organizations, and then they decide what they prefer. So if you want to send a message about outreach, for example, to GSOC mentor lists, I believe it would be totally reasonable.
Okay, so just making them aware of the dates and
yeah. As we discussed last time, we could even share some project ideas. Yeah, I didn't have a chance to discuss it at the GSOC meeting, but yeah, I will make sure that we do that. But yeah, sending a message to GSOC mentors or to the GSOC SIG mailing list would be a good start if you want to get mentors, because yeah, many people might be interested. Okay. Thank you. And yeah, what would be the deadline for project ideas there?
So I just send you this. You bring up that link in the chat.
Oh.
Then, so applications are open now. We have to register Jenkins as a community by March 5th. And the last day for projects is March 12th. And the last day for applications is March 26th. But because applications are already open, the sooner we can get something in, the more time we have to attract people and to be able to qualify them in terms of their pull requests.
Yeah, so for us, the critical thing is to get budget approved, because without budget, we cannot do much in the case of outreach. But once it's done, yeah, it should be okay to get everything.
Yep, we should be able to make the March 5th deadline.
Okay. Thank you very much. Anything else about outreach, or should we go to CDF topic?
No, unless there's questions, I'm fine.
Okay, let's just talk about CDF. So yeah, we need to make some decisions soon as a community. Oh, and yeah, you may see that there was a message from Kiki about 2 weeks comment period. So it was on February 7th, and it means that the time is running out. So there will be some decisions in the community soon how we proceed. And yeah, I think that we could discuss Rick's questions because he was interested to get more context about CDF.
Yep.
So Rick, if you want, you can drive the discussion.
Yeah. Do we have a very clear timeline for CDF application or transfer?
Yes, so just kind of working backwards, the plan is for it to launch on March 12th. And that to happen, both the projects need to be ready and the companies who are signing up. So the recruitment of companies has started, and then the projects have all had the process of agreeing to come in. So I think with the deadline of 22nd of February for Jenkins, that gives a couple of weeks for kind of the legal stuff to be kicked off and decisions to be made around the transfer. So, yeah.
If I understand it correctly, they must have more than 2 companies to want to join the CDF, so the CDF can be launched, right?
Yes, ideally looking for maybe a dozen companies, but we have a whole bunch who have shown interest. So I believe we've got 3 companies already signed up, and there's a deadline this Friday for other ones to sign up. So if they want to be foundation members, but once it's launched, anyone can join at any time. So it seemed to be on track.
Okay, thanks for your explanation. If my company wants to sign the paper, how do we have a description or some paper to?
Yes. Okay. So for companies who want to join up, what we should do is, first of all, they should have a look at the charter, and I believe that was attached to KK's message.
Yeah, it's here.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing. Great.
Chat.
Okay, so then the second thing is they can get in touch with me, and I will connect you to the Linux Foundation. So you have a point of contact because they handle the memberships. And then the third thing I will stick in the chat, give me a minute to find it, is there is an e-sign way to sign up to the contract. So I will find the link to the e-sign.
A couple of hours, I just met with Jim, the Linux Foundation. Should be, just have a small talk with Jim.
Great.
He is in China, Beijing now.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, so I'm glad so you can quiz them. And I think, have you met Mike Dolan? Was he there as well?
No, just a night with Jim.
Okay. So I'll find the link for it. But if there are questions and they want to talk to somebody just to understand maybe which other companies are coming and projects, you're welcome to either talk to myself or talk to Chris or Mike at the Linux Foundation. And if you're very interested and you think the company is ready to join, I can or Chris can sign you up to a CDF formation list for interested members.
So if my company wants to join the CDF, so I should I need write you an email about this?
Yes. So one quick question: are you already members of Linux Foundation?
I need to discuss with my boss to discuss more details. Then I will touch you again.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So you can, just drop me an email.
Okay.
And I will introduce you to the folks from the Linux Foundation, and then you can decide what you need. So if you need to have a discussion first, that's fine. If you think you're ready to go already, then I can get you added to the formation list and send you all the links for the e-sign and everything.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for explaining the process. Okay.
It's very clear for me.
Okay. Thank you. So should we proceed to the next questions?
Okay.
So yeah, application for WeChat account. Yeah, I believe it will happen after March 12th for sure. But yeah, I'm not sure what would be the process timeline here.
I can see CNCF has their own WeChat account, and for now we have a Jenkins WeChat account. So once the CDF launched, I can do an application for the DF.
Okay, so it can be just transferred using whatever paper we need a legal entity which would be a recipient, right?
Yeah.
It may be the case that the Linux Foundation can apply for that directly. As I know, they tend to, like they'll be starting the Twitter account and other accounts. So what I could do is bring that up for the launch plans if we want to have one from the beginning and see if they're open to doing that. And then they can invite contributors like yourself too.
Yes.
Let me just take a note. I should do that.
Yeah. Be a relevant question. What would happen with other accounts? For example, we have a Slack channel for Jenkins Online Meetup organizers. It's not that active, but yeah, there is a Slack channel, and probably it needs to be transferred to Linux Foundation as well.
Yeah, so once the project's approved, like once the Jenkins say they're moving, there's some paperwork the governors would need to fill in, and it asks for details like all the social media accounts, all the website URLs, all the kind of assets. So I believe KK is starting to audit all of these and find out who the owners are. So he has to do that. He's doing that for Jenkins and Jenkins X.
Yeah, Jenkins X has they're in the Kubernetes Slack workspace. So I believe it's already a part of CNCF. Maybe
not. Yeah. So I didn't know we even had Slack channels. So maybe I will get. Yeah, we can connect you up to review some of the assets in case you can think of any others.
Yeah. So if I remember specific resources, I will let you know. But yeah, I believe that Tyler would be the best contact because the most of resources on Tyler now, I believe, especially in around Jenkins infrastructure. But yeah, thanks for clarifying that. And
yeah, actually, and you can see. Sorry, anything you think of. So I think we've had to have the domain names, the trademarks, the Google Analytics, the 2 Twitter accounts, the Facebook account, Azure, Datadog, SendGrid, Meetup, AWS. So I think we're missing Slack channel.
Yeah.
WeChat, I guess.
Yeah. Also, probably all kinds of subscriptions. For example, we use Datadog, AdGuess, we use PagerDuty, and many other things. So most probably they will also need some adjustments. But I'm not sure how the contracts are organized there. Okay. Thanks for that. Okay. And regarding the trademark transfer, there was a question from Rick. Is this question about Jenkins trademark or any other trademark?
As far as I know, if Jenkins joins the Jenkins Foundation, then Jenkins trademark will transfer to Linux Foundation. So we already have a bunch of application for the trademark, like conference, something like that. Do we need the application or just direct transfer them already?
Yeah, so it should be the case that pre-approved trademarks, you can continue to use to sub-license those, and I think that was part of the agreement that they would be, I guess, accepted in. And any going forward, I think the process is very similar because the Jenkins process was based on Linux Foundation one anyway. But the main difference will be that the governing board approves the requests.
So one doesn't have to be a member of Linux Foundation to apply for the trademark usage.
I don't believe so.
Yeah, and it's great.
So actually, on a question like that, I was wondering if we should have an FAQ somewhere for Jenkins, and where the best place to put that would be as a kind of reference point.
You mean Jenkins CDF FAQ?
Yeah, Jenkins CDF FAQ.
I don't think it exists. We have these email threads, but yeah, if somebody creates a FAQ document, maybe in Google Doc or in Wiki.
Yeah, can we do it under Wiki? Is there somewhere we could?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
So the most of the Wiki is open to others. So yeah, we can protect particular pages from vandalism if needed, or you can just create a new page.
Okay, and is there any particular like organization where's the best place to put it?
Usually we put all the Wiki pages to the root of the Wiki.
Okay, so this
is not the best practice probably, but yeah, you can totally do the same.
That's fine for now.
So yeah, you may see the structure, almost everything goes to the root.
Okay, and that maybe for now I could just link it from the home, and we can move it later when it's less significant.
That's right. So homepage, I believe it's protected from editing, so you will need to contact Jenkins board to update that.
Okay.
I don't think that anybody really uses Wiki homepage. It's better to use it from the Jenkins site and from mailing lists. It would get more traffic.
Okay, so regardless, I could put a page somewhere and we just link it, and people don't necessarily come into the homepage, browse around. They just have the link.
Yeah, so Wiki page would be really useful, especially for newcomers, because like Rick asked about companies joining CDF. There may be also individual contributors who may want to join CDF. And in such case, having wikis and having documentation would be great. And I believe eventually it will go to the CDF site.
Yeah, we'll link it up to CDF site, so when it's announced as well, and if people have questions and they want to know more, then.
Great. Okay. Any other questions about CDF, Rick?
It's okay for me.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks for bringing it up. Any questions should help to clarify transfer. Okay, let's switch to language-based communities. If you want to spend time on that, or we can actually discuss it later when we have more people. Just to pitch my idea, what I have in mind is that having a listing of local communities here somehow. So the tricky part is that we de facto have some localized communities. So you may see here, for example, there is a Chinese community, but there are also other mailing lists. And for example, there is Jenkins Russian community, which doesn't have mailing list, but which does have chats, its website, etc. And my idea was to actually just take all of that and maybe create a new entity in Jenkins, like local communities or whatever, which would use a framework maybe similar to special interest groups and sub-projects, and just have a listing of these local communities. So these communities may reference their resources on the Jenkins site. Would it be helpful from your point of view?
I think it will be helpful for a local community.
One thing I've seen before, if you sort of maybe a longer term view, I'll just put a link in the chat, but the Eclipse project had a kind of way to group all the translation. Sorry, the last link I just sent on Eclipse. Okay. And so how they'd group it was to have one place which dealt with all the translations and put common links, but then separate out the different language champions, so they'd have a language champion for each language. Some things were common, like how to translate, how to write code, but then it would also split out into the different languages. So
this is a trick part here, because local community doesn't necessarily mean localization community. So, for example, Chinese localization SIG, one of the purposes is to localize Jenkins. But they also have their own site.
So you're just talking about having local language ones, not
localization. Right. It's rather about user groups.
Okay.
Because, these user groups may contribute to localization, but they may not. For example, in Jenkins Pro, we don't have coordinated effort, even though we have hundreds of members in chats, etc.
Okay, sorry. My confusion.
Yeah, so it could be actually a good topic to clarify, because yeah, if we create a single framework, we may just add some flags or whatever. For example, who would add some metadata, who would be localization leader in the community, etc. If we want to somehow promote localization. But yeah, I was thinking just about listing all resources we have. I was able to find many resources outside Jenkins as well. For example, there is French-speaking chats about Jenkins, whatever. So just by collecting these resources and publishing, we can provide links to users. And yeah, then we could expand from there.
So the idea, the key point is not just the merely list, or maybe we'll add other channels like chat or something other like that.
Yeah, right. So my idea would be to actually just have a landing page. So for example, if you take our SIG page, what we have some overview which describes what the SIG is doing, whatever. And yeah, there are also connect links. So maybe for local topics, we could somehow regroup this output. So we do not need members per se on this page, but we can just start from listing resources. So if you're interested, for example, for Chinese channel, yeah, we have WeChat, we have a mailing list, which is Chinese localization SIG. There are some meetings which can be used, and we list them on the front page. And other local channels, if they only have a mailing list or if they only have a chat, they can be posted as well as a starting point.
Yes, that sounds very great.
Yeah. So I will maybe spend some time refactoring that, but yeah, I think about just putting it here. But yeah, this dropdown becomes a bit long even now. So maybe we'll need to refactor the layout a bit.
I have another question about the SIGs. We already have a number of SIGs. Maybe we will have more SIGs. So the menu maybe will become more too long.
Yeah, so the problem with this layout is that we cannot create many more items, because yeah, this is approximately the minimal resolution we want to support. So when we were adding landing pages, so Liam has reworked this output because we were trying to fit this resolution or something like that. And yeah, we cannot add more drop-down entries here without breaking the layout for narrow screens. So this is the problem. And yeah, if you propose a better solution than we have now, it would be much appreciated. But yeah, this is what we have now.
Not for now, just a concert.
Sorry?
Wait, I don't have a solution for now. Just
Yeah.
Just for mention it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, it's something to think about. For example, maybe documentation may be somehow reworked, or maybe we could have multiple levels of drop-downs, because, for example, community, we can just have special interest groups as a drop-down, then the same for local communities. Account management, I don't have idea what it's doing here, to be honest, but yeah, we could somehow refactor it to take less space and to highlight activities we want to promote. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
There will be more special interest groups, because yeah, I have a draft of embedded special interest group which I haven't published yet, and yeah, there were some discussions about C, C++ special interest groups, about Android, if I recall correctly. So maybe we could start preparing for having more here. Okay, so my plan here is to actually to just create a prototype. And yeah, once I have it, I will present it at one of the next SIG meetings, and maybe we could agree whether we blend it in such way or rework.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, something like that.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll leave it as an open question, so I will just think about that when I create a prototype. Okay, thank you. And yeah, user-focused special interest groups, it may be another side of the same question. We already had a quick discussion because, yeah, what we started from is that special interest groups are actually focused on Jenkins development and on Jenkins community, so cloud native platform, Google Summer of Code, Advocacy and Outreach, they focus community, which is good, but maybe we also want to have user-focused special interest groups. So for example, last month we created hardware and EDA special interest group, and it explicitly focuses users and use cases of users. So it seems to be another kind of special interest group, and yeah, I wanted to talk whether we want to promote such kind and to somehow organize.
So one comment on that is from a CDF perspective, this is something that might fit better at a CDF level, as in cross projects rather than Jenkins, because if you're talking about a very specific vertical, Jenkins maybe it's just one part of a full solution.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Mm-hmm.
So I think we're quite keen to have sort of industry verticals and CDF that look at, full solutions and all the different parts coming together. So yeah, in that context, Jenkins would be a big part of it, but there might be room for kind of integration with other tools as well. So that would be my sort of 2 cents.
Well, I definitely agree with that. So if outreach committee in CDF is interested in that, we can definitely do that. So what we would need is just a place where to put information about these special interest groups or whatever they are called.
Yep.
After the rework. And yeah, for example, for hardware in ND, I'm happy to move to such a framework immediately.
Okay. Yeah.
And yeah, for other SIGs, I also think it may be interesting.
Yeah, I think early on with the initial conversations, there's potential for finance one and potential for maybe a higher ed one, higher education. So just based on some of the interested companies who might have people they'd like to get involved. But it's still very early days. So yeah, I guess that's 3.
Yeah, finance, education, and
yeah,
what was the third one?
So the third one was the hardware and EDA.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, I think it would be something useful. So if you need a guinea pig to try out this approach, I'm happy to do that.
Okay, great.
Okay, and yeah, there is also a question from Rick about having local sponsors. So maybe it's also, as commented here about CDF. So maybe you would like to clarify the question and to provide a use case, Rick.
I in order to bring our people into Jenkins community, so I thought if I can find some sponsor like a price to give us some books or other sports, or like another community, like the States community. Do you think that's a good idea, or another suggestion about this?
Yeah, it may be also related to CDF outreach plans because, for example, CNCF, they have their own network of meetups they have created recently.
Yeah.
So, yeah, for example, coordinating with other meetup might be a problem about that. But regarding local sponsors, yeah, I think it should be fine. I'm not sure how it would relate to CDF and the Unix Foundation, but de facto we already have local sponsors. So many Jenkins area meetups are organized by particular companies and they run that. And for example, on meetup pages, we also list sponsors sometimes. I'm not sure whether it's listed here, maybe not. But yeah, for example, Cloudbees sponsors meetups by providing stickers, T-shirts, etc. So Cloudbees is listed on many meetups, meetup pages as a sponsor, and I do not see any obstacle for having that for local communities as well.
Okay. The first question is, we already tried to do some advocacy efforts now. I think it's more like a local or Jenkins advocacy and outreach SIG, something like a sub-SIG, but it's under the Jenkins localization SIG. Just for report states, not a question. Or you can give me some advice or other opinions about this.
Oh, if you're interested to coordinate, it's reasonable to have a local community. For example, you can just communicate in Chinese, and it should help a lot. So if you want to have such sub-SIG or whatever we call it, I think there is no obstacle at all. Maybe it doesn't really need a special SIG because you can just be a part of Chinese localization SIG, and sometimes you can just join, for example, this meeting, so we can chat together about some shared things. Yeah, for me, it's perfectly fine. I'm not sure. What do you think, Tracy?
Yeah, sorry, I drifted out, but I think that's fine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to say that the objective of advocacy and outreach SIG is to embrace communications in the community and embrace contributions. So be sure that this SIG has no plan to just overtake all kinds of activities in other communities, drive them, etc. So our main objective is to help where we can.
Yeah, I think I'll keep those ideas in mind and see if there's any framework within CDF that works well with. But yeah, I don't have anything more at this point.
Yeah. Thank you.
Actually, I have doubts about the SIG. You say the SIG idea is excellent, but if we have some people from China want to join one SIG, like a platform SIG or other SIG, but they don't speak English very fluent. So maybe we need a person to be a bridge to link the local sounds like local SIG to the international SIG, sounds like that.
Yeah, it would be something I would advise, because if you have local isolated community, well, it works, but there may be disconnects, there may be lost opportunities. So yeah, it's better to have some communication between local groups and larger ones. How we organize this communication, it's a good question. But yeah, I think one of approaches is to, if somebody is interested to organize this communication, let's start from there. For example, you join platform SIG meetings, cloud native SIG meetings. So if there are local discussions in Chinese channels, you can just bring them up in the agenda, and yeah, it would be a good start.
Yeah, I wonder if we need to get better at, maybe for each SIG meeting, writing out a summary of the key decisions. So maybe that could get translated rather than having, the whole long video or kind of long meeting notes. So just kind of being better at boiling it down so we can translate the key information back and forth.
So having summaries for each meeting. So you mean, for example, 1 or 2 paragraphs summarizing what was discussed and what was agreed on?
Yeah, maybe, kind of key outcomes, particularly of sort of saying, okay, we're going to do this, and here's the reasoning, and maybe not so much kind of the back and forth discussions, but just the outcomes and the direction.
Yeah, actually, it may be helpful, especially since we have some coordinated activities, for example, jump spreads or whatever. We could be sending monthly SIG summaries to the list. So if SIG provides such summaries, it might be helpful.
Yeah, especially for recruitment, of people to know this is actually going on, or just to come into the code base when there's an activity they care about.
Mm-hmm. So I think it's something to discuss with SIG leaders. I'm ready to provide such information for special interest groups where I participate. So yeah, if you want to try it out, we could just do that. So for example, for this meeting and for the meetings next week, and we could start from there.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay.
So Tracy, if you provide such summary information, how regarding digest, etc., who would be able to do it?
One thing I want to start doing, or certainly someone in my team who maybe doesn't exist yet, I'd like to do a monthly or quarterly kind of Jenkins community summary, which is, lots of indicators to growth. So the easy things are just showing, how many blog posts did we have, how many, taking the stats and presenting them. But also it would be like have a summary for each SIG, say what did the SIG do this last quarter? Is it growing? Is it, what are the achievements as such? Or is it kind of in a bit of trouble? Maybe people aren't so engaged. So we kind of regularly get some visibility for everybody into what's thriving and what maybe not need some attention. So in that forum, if I had this presentation or deck that went out every quarter, every month, then it would have like 1 page per SIG highlights.
It would be nice. So it's pretty similar to jump spread, which existed before, maybe in some different format.
Yes, so that kind of thing. So to go out to the jams, to just go out to the mailing list as well, and then we can use it for every events as well, just to kind of present the state of the community.
Okay. Yeah, it will be great if we continue doing that. Yeah. So yeah, what we can do, for example, after the next week, because next week almost every special interest group will have meetings.
Oh, perfect.
So after that, or before that, we can just send a message to SIG leaders and ask them to prepare these summaries.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then we will have some initial content.
Brilliant.
Okay. So yeah, I think it would be nice. Yeah, I added the information to the meeting notes. I just realized that I stopped screen sharing, but the information is in the meeting notes. Okay. So yeah, I think that's it. We are already going a bit over time, but yeah, thanks a lot to you, Tracy and Rick, for participating. So I will stop the broadcast, and yeah, you can continue the discussion if you want. Okay.
I have a final question about Chinese localization SIG. Do you think after the CDF launched, we might transfer the Chinese localization SIG to be under the CDF level?
Yeah, that makes sense. Then, so that would include translating, let's say, the CD Foundation site.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you think it wants to take on that bigger scope, then that would be fine.
So the our SIGs might be good to mark some SIG are Jenkins level, some maybe CDF level.
Yeah, I think it will take time to do, but I think we should know the direction we want to head. So I think that would be good.
Yeah, I totally agree. And yeah, for many special interest groups, it's better to be on the CDF level. Yeah, I'm not sure about platform SIG because now the projects are really Jenkins focused there. But for example, for cloud native SIG, it can be moved relatively quickly to the upper level if we need.
Yeah, I think cloud native platform does seem to be very Jenkins technology specific. So
yeah, we can adjust, but yeah, it was the original idea of the SIG, and yeah, we have some work to do. So maybe we will stay on the Jenkins level for now. But again, if we talk about something specific, for example, Docker topics or Kubernetes, it may be happening on the CDF level. And yeah, it will be also partially, or for example, Windows. If we talk about something more classic, it can be also happening on the CDF level.
Okay.
Okay. So yeah. Thanks a lot, everybody, and thanks a lot to everybody who was watching this video. And yet, if you have any questions, just come to our Gitter chat, and we will be able to answer these questions asynchronously or at the next SIG meeting. Yeah.
Thanks, Oleg.
Yeah, thank you too.
Thank
See you next week, I guess. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.